Welcome back to TML Weekly, Season 2, Episode 27. Great on the heels of the playoffs here. Leafs play tonight against Buffalo, and then Detroit Thursday. I think, is it Thursday, John? Yeah. So thanks always to our sponsors, Bjorn and Don Cherry Sports Grill. I'll let you start here. What do you think of the last couple of Leaf games, and how do you feel going into tonight?
Listen, if you would have told me when we came out of, remember when we were going into the Four Nations break, we were it was a little bit of a stutter step going into the break, and we weren't playing great, and a lot of things weren't breaking our way, and we were getting a little nervous. If you would have told me coming out of the break we'd have the best or the second best record in the league coming out, man, if you're upset with the way the Leafs are playing right now, you got to I don't know, get on some Ozempic or something. Like, that's like, you got to relax.
Well, it's like I said last week, John. Right now, obviously, you want to win the division, and they're doing everything that, and exceeding expectations. The ball's in their court. They need a point, right, in the next two nights. But they're staying healthy. Right, we talked about that last week.
Absolutely.
And I think part of the, for an average hockey fan, you wouldn't see this, but when you kind of, and this isn't just the last couple of games, this has kind of been a trend here for a while, where when Toronto starts on time, it's a big problem for any team that they've faced, including some Stanley Cup contenders, right? And they're all of a sudden up 3-0. Now they've figured out how to not blow that, right? They would do this 3-4 years ago. They'd go up 4-0, right? And then play.
Game's not over.
Play good in the second, and then all of a sudden the first two shots go in the third, and now you're in overtime battling for a point. Sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't. This team is different, okay? And then there's lapses. It's the National Hockey League. There's a lot of pride on every team. When teams are down 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, pride
kicks in.
They're gonna go. But Toronto's playing the right way with all four units, and they're not giving up those chances that seem to go in. When you have the puck on your stick 3 times in your own zone and it doesn't get over the blue line, that's probably going to end up in the back of your net.
Or a penalty, one or the other.
Well, things like that are limited now. So you as a coach, you have the ability now to manage your lineup to not. It's a lot easier to play in a 3-0 game than a 1-1 game. Let's put it that way. So when I'm talking about here is physicality. So in a 3-0 game, right, there's less apt for, sometimes some goofy stuff if there's bad blood, but it's the 1-1 game that you're going to get a guy hurt because there's, a little bit heavier.
Pushing a little extra going in. Yeah.
Right. You're not having a scrum after after a shot attempt when it's 4-0, right? You're probably not poking that. It might, and you might have to respond to that, but it's less taxing when you're playing with a 2 or 3 goal lead, right?
And Johnny, listen, if you recall, we'll go back to the start of the season. We didn't have the hottest of starts coming out of the gate, and there was a lot of panic. But you'll recall, and I know you will, because I've said this entire season, I've had a fundamentally different feeling about the way this team is played. When this team gets behind, we have played from the start of the season differently. If we get behind a goal or two, it is not pond hockey anymore. It is not guys pinching. It's not Nylander going for a skate deep and not coming back. It's a fundamentally different style with a fundamentally different approach that started at the beginning of the season. And you started to see that all throughout the year and getting us to where we are today. If we get down a couple of goals, the game doesn't change. This whole team has really bought in, I think, to what Berube has brought to them about confidence. And we play the Maple Leafs style of game. And we have not been able to say that for years. right? We play our game, and it doesn't change if we get down 2-0 or if we're up 4-0. It's the same style of game. And listen, have we been bailed out and buoyed by the great goaltending that we've received this year? 100% we have. But you know what? Any team that's going to be winning and putting together a hell of a good run, you're going to have good goaltending. I give full credit to the way the coach has set this team up from the start of the year. Right? This has truly been a developmental year in my mind, of a regular season. What we've seen this year from October all the way to where we are now. Listen, I feel going into this playoffs, this is the best grouping and the best chance that we have had collectively, where everybody's on the same page to make a move. And not coincidentally, it looks like it's going to be the first time that we've raised the division crown outside of the pretend bubble year since the last time we won a cup. So I feel good about it, John. And
I'll go a little deeper, and all good points. I don't like agreeing with you as
I know it's not good. It's not good. I agree,
but I'm going to go a little deeper, and I agree that I feel that this team is built and is playing the way a team that can go deep. And then once you get deep, like we always say, you get to the final four, get a hot goalie and stay healthy, you got a shot, right? If you're in the final, you have a shot. So you got to get there though. And what I like about this team, and if I want to compare it to the teams in the past, I used the term talking about them the other day, and it's drama free. Okay. And if you dive into that, a lot of the drama that's happened with this, say, core group here over the last 7-8 years has happened in the playoffs, right? JT getting kneed in the head in the Montreal series. Kadri 2 years in a row getting a major and taking you out of a series, right? Or really stopping the momentum. Last year, we felt pretty good. If we go back and roll tape going into that Boston series last year, you weren't saying, "Oh, Sheldon Keefe's going to blow this," right? They were playing the right way. You're going in, and then the drama in that one is almost supersedes any of the other seasons before, because you had 5 of the 7 games that you didn't have Austin Matthews, William Nylander, or both in your lineup. Those are 2 of the top 10, 12 players in the world not in your lineup, and you take the Boston Bruins to 7 games. So that's what I'm hoping for here. Drama free. I don't want to have a big goalie situation.
I don't think we will.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think you guys, we were texting the other night, Stolers will get it. Hopefully you don't see Wall, right?
But if you do, you're not terrified.
No, you got a guy that can step in. But the other side of it too, and Berube's low-key style helps to keep it, drama-free, right? Because I love this stat the other night. It said, it was one of the broadcasts, I don't know which game, but it said Toronto has the most players with a fighting major in the NHL. The most players. So more guys on Toronto have been in a fight this year. So you think about Reeves, right? Oh, he's your guy. Well, he had one fight in 30 games whenever he played, right? Hey. And then as soon as he went down, right? And I'm not saying he's a problem or anything like that. I think the guys love him. He'll be up during the playoffs.
Oh, he was great in the room. No, great in the room.
But my point on it is now you got all these other guys. Like Simon Benoit has made me a tremendous fan of him because he's now and it's changed since Reeves left. Okay. I didn't see
that's the impact of the player, though, John. That's the impact of the player in the room.
Right. But I didn't see that bite earlier in his career. And now he's more comfortable. He's playing regularly. He's getting minutes. He's getting all kinds of situations. Berube trusts him. Right. So now he says, okay, well, Revo's down and I've got to start to, maybe stick up for some of these smaller guys. This is a big guy. You know who he reminds me of? An old friend of mine that played for 5 or 6 teams in the NHL. passed away a few years ago, had cancer, but he played a short stint with the Leafs in the 90s. And he actually was Berube's roommate in Calgary when they played for the Flames together. And I was playing overseas, and Greg Smith, Bird Dog.
Greg Smith,
SMYTH, yeah, Bird. So rest in peace. He was the biggest beauty I ever came across in the game. Just if you talk to any, he'd give you the shirt off his back. Just a tremendous character guy. Fought everybody. He went in the stands in the American Hockey League. He went in the stands in London. He played for the Knights. He was a first rounder to Philadelphia. Played in the Stanley Cup final before he played a regular season game in the NHL against Edmonton '87. So anyway, Benoit looks a little bit like Bird. So if you Google a picture of Greg Smith and put them side by side, and I think Bird wore 2 when he played for the Leafs.
But now, like I go back and listen, if you've watched this show for any length of time, you know my feelings on the previous coach. I don't need to go into it. I swear to God, how many times did we watch and you would see after a whistle and the entire team would skate away? We'd get punched in the face. There'd be a hit after the whistle. We'd skate away. There would be nothing. There was no passion. There was no anything, no pushback, no bite. With this head coach, it's a different world, and it's been a different world from day one. He's come in and he's changed I hate the phrase he's changed the culture, but man, this same group of guys is just largely and functionally different with Berube. They seem to, everybody's buying into us as opposed to like the individual. We're not playing like individuals. It's a team. And the fact that you've got guys that are fighting, like we got more fighting majors than anybody. Like, what are we talking about? This is the Leafs. I go back to,
and it's not a guy.
It's not one guy. That's the best part, though, John. That's the best part.
It's team toughness.
100%.
You don't need a guy like Revo if you got. There's always somebody on the ice that's going to defend a teammate, and if you don't play that way, you don't play for Craig Berube. It's as simple as that. If you don't, if he thinks that you're not going to defend everybody that's on the ice with you at any given time, if you're the guy that needs to do it, you're not going to play for Craig Berube. So these guys have figured it out. Not enough credit is given to Austin Matthews and John Tavares.
Both of them. I agree.
Because John Tavares could have just folded this year. Oh, they took the C away from me. They're pushing me out. I'm done after this year. And mailed in a season and then got a half-decent deal and go play in Utah for the rest of his career. Right? That's how it looked when they pulled the C off his sweater. Let's face it. Was it the right thing to do? Absolutely. Now people say, oh, Matthews is the captain. He only gets 30 goals. Well, he was hurt. Okay. He's playing a different system than he's ever played. And he doesn't give a rat's behind if he gets 10 goals as long as the team wins. And guess what? Teams
are winning
the title, and they're in a very good spot going into the playoffs. So as a leader, and then I give Tavares just as much credit. If not more credit.
Because not only, John, has he responded the right way with the statistics, and you can't argue the uptick on
the
Tavares.
Best year he's had in 10.
And so, again, you go back to, the outside noise with the press and the fans and everything else. Say what you will about Tavares. And listen, I've been hard on Tavares for the last couple of years for the drop in play. And I think deservedly so for the past couple of years. This year, John Tavares has really decided that he is not that he wasn't all in before, but it's like a different level with him where he's realized that, he's not the captain anymore and doesn't need to be, but he can still do everything else that he was doing before.
Yeah.
And I think within that room, John Tavares has gained so much respect with those guys.
And just with everybody, right? Respect is a league-wide thing too. And respect, people don't come into Toronto and push them around anymore. They just don't.
No.
And guess what? If you try, they're disciplined enough. I always tell the kids that I coach, what's toughness? And they'll come back and they'll say, well, you can fight, or
I know where you're going. You're 100% right.
No, absolutely. You got to be tough to do that kind of thing. But to me, toughness is that kid that's in front of the net in a battle in a 1-1 hockey game.
Takes the stick.
And the other guy cross-checks him right in the head. And instead of getting up and cross-checking him back or dropping the mitts or
he just gets back up. You're
hurt. Your pride is hurt, especially when you get into the teenage years, right? They feel, it's an honorable thing to
retaliate.
No. Get the guy's number, go to the bench, get your power play unit out there, and win the hockey game. That's toughness. And Toronto
100%.
has it. And when they need to answer the bell and fight or mix it up, there's not one player. Guys that would come to mind that you wonder about would be like Nick Robertson. He's in them all the time. He's swinging and getting choked. And
do you want to know? I'm going to bring up something here, and I know you'll remember it. We played Boston, and I'm going to say it was last year around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And there was a play where Timothy Liljegren went into the corner, and he got run. He got run. Marchand took him in there, cracked his ankle. He was out for months. Nobody responded. And the coach of Boston, I remember it like crystal clear. He left Marchand on the ice, didn't take him off, and challenged the Leafs to say, do something about it. And nothing happened. Nothing.
Exactly. That wouldn't happen with this group.
And then it was, remember there was a team meeting and everything else? That would never happen here. Right now.
A special guest that's going to sit in for the rest of the show.
Who's coming in?
Come here, Jack.
There he is, Jackie.
Oh, he's got matching shirts. We got shirts from it's a hockey tournament, PEI. We got the same one on.
What's happening, Jackie? How you feeling, buddy?
Good.
Yeah, so but Jack, we already talked about the Leafs. We're gonna get into now kind of the matchups and the.
Hold on. Well, let's find out with Jack. Jack, how do you feel the Leafs have been playing recently? Are you feeling good coming into the playoffs? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
Feeling pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the game one starter?
Stolars.
You know what, John? There's certain times in your life where you go, you know what, you're raising the child right and he's making good decisions.
Yeah, wow.
I feel like this is one of them.
He follows it. If he goes to bed, as everybody knows, we're in the Atlantic time zone. So, Toronto home game starts at 8:00 and, school night. If he goes to bed, first thing he's doing is looking at his phone in the morning and we're talking about the game and we'll look at highlights and stuff. So, he'll be able to stay up and watch the playoff games, won't you, bud?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So there's rules, Jack. And you know what? If it goes into overtime, you get to stay up, even if it's.
So let's talk about the East first. And just we'll do all three of our takes on what's going on. So before we get there, Montreal, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. So the game last night, right? You got your Demidov, as advertised, very, very skilled hockey player. Jack and I watched closely a couple of shifts, especially the one on the power play in the second period. Whew. He looked poised. Two points in the first period. But there's a clip going around of him not back checking per se on, I think it was the second goal. I haven't even looked at it yet. I tried and I couldn't get it. Anyway, so you got fans in Montreal that are losing their marbles. They're mad that Demidov didn't shoot in the shootout and Laine did. They're mad that they don't think that the Chicago goal should have counted. And it's like, you know what? If you're a playoff team and you're ready for the playoffs and you're not in yet, you need to get in, and you can't beat the Chicago Blackhawks when you got this, hype new star. Montreal, the passion and the fan group there is a very difficult place to play at any point. But on a night like that, you can't figure it out.
It's beautiful.
So Columbus, the way that works is if you look at the standings here, Jack, if Toronto gets a point tonight or Tampa loses tonight or loses a point even, when they're playing Florida, which I think may be a war because we're probably playing each other next week. So you got Tampa, Florida, love it. I hope that's the way it works out. Beat each other up, and you've got a legit Stanley Cup contender out of the first round. Gone. One of them will be gone. Let's hope it goes 7, and the other team has 5 guys hurt and 2 suspended.
Beautiful.
And, so then Toronto, it looks like Ottawa.
Hey, and but before we go on here, and I think this is kind of slept on. I haven't heard it talked about a lot, and it's kind of surprising to me. Brady Tkachuk hasn't played in 9 games, so even if he does come back, which I fully expect he'll play.
Yeah.
You know what? Tkachuk is the heart and soul of that team, and as that team goes, they go by Brady Tkachuk. I know Karen and I touched on it on the weekend, just for everybody, because all you're going to hear in this market is Brady Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, and how wonderful he is. Keep in mind, statistically, he is Matthew Nyes.
Yeah.
It's almost identical.
Without the sideshow Bob.
He's sideshow Bob with Matthew Nyes numbers. And so if you're in this market and you're worried about Brady Tkachuk, hasn't played in 10 games, he's coming back, he's hurt, he's not.
If the Toronto Maple Leafs play the right way,
it's not even close.
It's not a very long series.
It's not a long. I agree.
And what was the other thing I said earlier? It's got to be drama free. It can't be. You can't let Brady.
The Leafs aren't playing the backdoor shenanigans.
You win your first 2 games at home and you pound them, and then you go there and you
split. You come home and you finish it.
Yes. You know what, Brady Tkachuk, you don't make him a factor. You don't let him, do anything. If the game's 4-0 and you're up and he wants to run around, you have somebody deal with that.
Yeah.
And that's it. But you keep your eyes on the prize, and that's the Stanley Cup. Right?
Okay, Jack, tell me right now, if we're playing Ottawa, are you worried about Ottawa? Do you worry about Tkachuk coming in and just starting a fight in the first shift and coming out and thinking he's going to be the tough guy and run us over? Or what do you think about Ottawa?
I'm not worried.
You're not worried? Now here's a serious question though. And this is something that Karen and I talk about all the time. Linus Ullmark, he's won a Vezina before. He is a good goalie. Are you worried about the Leafs maybe getting goalied? If he gets hot and it's a 1-1 game in the third period, are you worried that maybe Ullmark can steal a couple of games and get Ottawa the bump?
Not really. I think we could.
All right, from your lips to God's ears,
it's
Jack.
the offense. There's nobody in the league. If they have all their guys going, that can even best goalie in the world is going to have problems because it's not going to be 2 lines are going to come at you. When they're going the right way, 4 lines are coming at you. Their shifts are short. They're getting out there. They're heavy on the forecheck. They're cycling it. They're wearing down defensemen in the first period to a point where, Norris candidates are making silly errors and giving them back up, and that comes from the heavy forecheck. So staying in the East, and my take on this, I Tampa, Florida, I won't pick who I want to win because I don't care.
I care. I care. I really care. I really care. It's got to be Tampa. Has to be Tampa. I want less than 0 to do with Florida.
I think Vasilevsky is more dangerous than Bobrovsky.
John, listen, I agree with you on the goaltender, and
but Toronto matches up. I don't. That's what scares me about.
Listen, I would rather play this Tampa team in 2025. This Tampa team, we can beat player for player, shift for shift. I think we are a better team overall than what Tampa is. Listen, I don't know about, I'll be honest with you. Florida terrifies me because I feel like Florida has our number. Florida is like the Buffalo Sabres or,
Yeah, well,
insert.
Tampa had our number too. Don't forget.
Yeah, but again, Stamkos is gone. They're a different team. And don't listen. I'm not saying we're going to walk over Tampa. I love John Cooper. I think he's the best coach in the NHL. And regardless, I don't care what the statistics say. I also think, you saw my rankings when they came out this year.
Yeah,
I picked Vasilevsky as the best goalie in the league. I still think he's the best big money, big game goalie.
Oh, yeah.
If I had to win one game, Vasilevsky's my
Nobody
guy.
else has two.
Is
there anybody active other than Marc-Andre that has two?
I don't think so.
The backup in Rangers, and he's out of the playoffs.
Oh, Quick. Yeah, but I mean, Johnny Quick, that was 20 years ago, and he's
so was Fleury.
I guess Fleury was too, yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on. But so here's my thought now. And I think Washington is going to be in trouble in the first round, whether they play Montreal or
Columbus.
Because I think they're kind of their year was Ovi getting that number, right? I mean, they've been playing bad hockey.
So here's the thing.
Bad hockey. Like, if you watch their games, and I loved it because I wanted him to score, but just he's on there for 3.5 minutes at regular strength. He's coasting out by the blue line. And the record hasn't been great of late. They could be a team that could get surprised in the first round by now.
So they had Mike Johnson was on TSN radio today, and he brought up, a salient point that I think is really going to encapsulate kind of what Washington has been through this year. If you go back and you look at Washington through 65 games this year, Washington had the highest shooting percentage in the last 25 years through 65 games. And so are we saying at this point that Washington is that elite? Or are you saying that eventually they're going to fall back to the median? Yeah. Right. And I think what you've seen over the last 15 or 20 games is, they're kind of falling back to the median. And listen, the Ovechkin stuff is great, and that's seasonal and generational and all that great stuff. I've got his rookie card, so I keep scoring goals and all that good stuff. But if I'm Montreal and I get in, I'm feeling like I can absolutely beat Washington.
Yeah.
And now if I'm a Leaf fan and I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, we could get Ottawa and then Montreal. Is there a better way to get?
You wouldn't get them in the second round.
Sure, they would.
You'd get Florida or Tampa in the second round.
Oh shit, yeah, they would. Yeah, because it doesn't click over till the end. You're right. Yeah. Never mind. Even better though.
Montreal stay on the other side until the conference final.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, that's another stupid rule about the way this.
Yeah, well, whatever. I wish it was 116 or 18 or whatever, but
Okay, so let's go
Carolina.
Right now, if it ends today and it's Florida Tampa, who do you got?
I'll probably go Florida in 6. Jack.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay, I'm going Tampa in 5.
Oh.
I'm going Tampa in 5. I got full confidence in Tampa right now.
And then you got Toronto, Ottawa. I got Toronto in 5. Jack.
Toronto in 6.
Okay, so I'm going to say the Leafs in 7 because I don't believe the Leafs have ever done anything easy.
Okay, that's fine.
Montreal, Washington.
I say Montreal in 7. Jack?
Montreal in 6.
Ooh.
I like Jack. I'm staying with Jack. I like your moxie, Jack. I like that pick. Carolina against Sheldon Keefe.
Without Jack Hughes, I say New Jersey in 6. Jack, what do you think?
Carolina in 6.
Okay.
Carolina in 5. Sheldon Keefe is terrible. He's a terrible coach. He was a terrible coach here in the play. Just for the record, in case you didn't watch us before, worst record in the history of the NHL in elimination games ever. 1-15. He's going to be 1-16 this year.
All right, let's move to the West. The West is wild. You talk about
Man.
So but end of today, you've got Winnipeg Jets,
St. Louis Blues.
St. Louis Blues. I want Calgary to get in there. I would love to see Calgary get in there. Just have another Canadian.
Calgary's
team.
got like the planets have to align.
They're like Columbus right now.
Like
they're like Columbus.
So let's go by the assumption that Calgary is going to do what Calgary does, and Kadri's not going to make it. So let's go with it's Winnipeg and St. Louis. Who do you like?
I like Winnipeg. 6. Jack, Winnipeg, St. Louis.
Winnipeg in 4.
Ooh.
Winnipeg in 4. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I always do and say,
fans, this is what he does.
I do not believe in Connor Hellebuck. I don't believe in him. Every time there's a pressure
Your
moment,
buddy told you to do this. I know you've got a buddy that's a big.
Listen, and it trust me, I hate picking this.
He knows I'm going to win, but he's trying to make this.
I'm going to say St. Louis in 6 because I think Connor Hellebuck's going to give up at least 4.5 goals a game. I'm taking the Blues in 6. I hate doing it.
Make a lot of money if he actually did. If you bet that,
I hate doing it. Believe me, nobody hates the Blues more than I do.
And if you said Connor Hellebuck is going to give up 4.5 times a game, 4.5 goals a game, here's $100. How much will you? It'd be a big bet.
You know what? If only I was independently wealthy and I could make that call.
Yeah, you never win. Gambling's bad, Jack.
Kids, if you're watching, kids, don't stay away from the gambling.
Then you've got Dallas and Colorado. With Dallas at the game 7. Like, what is going on?
Okay, so listen.
There's another Stanley Cup contender, legit, no holes, deep, well coached, superstars, gone first round.
Okay, so I'll give you a minute to think to contemplate this. I'm going to stick with Dallas because Dallas was my pick for the Cup from the beginning of the season. I love their goaltending. I love their coach. I love their general manager. I love their players. There's virtually nothing I don't like about Dallas. So I'm going Dallas in 7. It's got to be 7, right?
Jack?
Same, Dallas in 7.
I'm going to say Colorado in 6.
And to be very clear,
the superstar power on Colorado, I think makes up for maybe a little bit less on the goaltending side. But you got the best defenseman in the world, and you got arguably the best player in the world. And I think they're going to be the difference. And if Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon aren't, as advertised and play the way that they can, it'll be a short series for Dallas.
But listen,
special, and if they step up, and don't forget about the Landeskog effect.
Listen,
when he rolls out, I think he's going to play.
Okay, so here's the thing. There is no bigger Cale Makar fan in the world than I am. Cale Makar is the best defenseman I've seen since Nicholas Lindstrom. And I have all the time for Cale Makar in the world. Nathan McKinnon is ridiculous and is a wonderful athlete. And I'm not saying anything negative about them. If Gabriel Landeskog comes back, if we're going to be honest about what Gabriel Landeskog is right now, he's a 4th-line player and he's coming back. And it's an emotional lift for the team. That's what Landeskog is. Whatever you get on top of that, take it as a bonus and run if 100%. You're Colorado. To be very clear.
The energy in that building.
I agree, John.
They're not home, so it'll be game 3.
You're right.
Okay. So if you can go into Dallas and split, and then you go back home to Ball Arena, and I've been in that arena lots of times, and it's like when it's a big game.
It used to be called the Pepsi Center.
Yeah. And when it's a big game, I got some buddies, the Dobbs down there, Billy and Mike, and I go down and do some camps, and Jack actually last time I was there, Jack and I went to a Winnipeg. It was right at the end, and it was a playoff implication game, Winnipeg and Colorado. That building's electric, it's fun. So when
Just wondering,
Landeskog comes
during
out,
that game, how did Hellebuck play?
it'll be crazy, absolutely crazy. We'll see. We'll see what happens, and in that
It's gonna
one,
be, that might be the best series of round one, if we're being honest. That might be the best series.
Tampa is going to be pretty good too. And then we forgot one: Vegas and Minnesota.
Vegas and Minnesota.
I don't like that matchup for Vegas. I really don't. I think Minnesota.
Listen, Krill Kaprizov. Listen, Krill. If you watch the Leafs and you're watching us because we talk about the Leafs all the time, I'm telling you, the best player in the NHL that you've never heard of is Krill Kaprizov. That guy is worth the price of admission and twice on Sunday. Yeah. Minnesota could stun the world here, and I'm going to say Minnesota in 6.
I was going to say Mini in 7.
It could happen.
Vegas or Mini?
Vegas in 6.
Vegas in 6. Okay. Oh, we look, Jack. Somebody said hi to you, Corey Martin. Say hi.
Hi.
Shout out to Corey Martin.
This boy's probably watching too. He's got the same name as this Jack. So hey, Jackie boy, if you're out there.
All right. So here is the enjoyable one, Jack. Here's the enjoyable one. The Los Angeles Kings, they of the best home record in the NHL, take on the broken and wounded Edmonton Oilers. Who do you like, Jackie? What do you feel here?
LA in 7.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna also go LA. I think I don't think McDavid or Draisaitl are healthy. I think they've had goaltending issues all year. It looks like Nurse may be suspended.
He's only going to get a game. He'll get a game, but that's about it.
But I don't know. I don't think Edmonton has had the season that is conducive to a long run with the injuries and some of the lineup issues that they've had, and their goalies aren't stealing them very many games, and they kind of had to hang on here for the last little while.
Yes,
if you told me a month ago Edmonton or Calgary could have caught Edmonton in the last week of the season, I would have said
you'd laugh.
Yeah. So I also have LA, but I say 6.
So I'm going to go one step forward. I think the loss of Matthias Ekholm is
huge.
Listen, if you're an Edmonton fan and you're going to lie to yourself and tell yourself that you're going to be able to recover from that, you're not. You're just not. I'm going to say LA in 5. I'll give Edmonton 1 at home. But you're not that Edmonton team is not beating LA in LA.
Right.
And on top of that, they played last night, and I don't know if you heard the commentary after the game, but they asked, I forget who the guy was on the Kings that they asked, and they said to him like what did you think about that game tonight? And he said Edmonton put out their B squad tonight. They weren't even an NHL level team, and their whole agenda was to hurt us. And I just kind of thought, like, if you're LA, you're registering that little tick in the box and you're going, oh, okay. You know what? When it comes time to show and prove, they're going to show and prove. And whether you've got McJesus and Draisaitl and everybody else, Kane might be back, but Kane hasn't played in, I don't know, since, Boris Salming was playing. So,
he'll help them for sure. He's more of a playoff style guy, but
he hasn't played in a year, John. He hasn't played in forever. Like you're asking a guy who's 28, 29.
In the lineup. There's too many holes in the lineup. I think they'll be easy to coach against. We'll see. But exciting times. The game's coming up here in a bit. Thanks again to Bjorn Hockey and Don Cherry Sports Grill for all your support. And Jack, any final word? What's the score tonight, Jack?
Come on, Jack.
I'm not even going to talk about the Detroit game because I hope they sit half the team. But what do you think is going to happen tonight in the Buffalo game?
4-1 Toronto.
Jack,
does anybody hit any milestones?
Marner gets 100 points and Matthews gets 400 goals.
I think I said that earlier.
Jack, and I feel like I agree with you, buddy. I feel like
I'm going 4-1. I'm going 4-1 with Marner with a point and Matthews with a goal.
So I'm gonna go 4-3 because it's Buffalo, and I'm going to say it's going to be an overtime or a shootout because I feel like it's Buffalo, and Buffalo never plays us easy. Doesn't matter.
Buffalo's playing the best hockey they played all year, too.
Yeah. And listen, it's us and Like, if you follow the Leafs, you know there's never an easy game against Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that Matthews does not get the goal tonight. I'm going to say Marner gets the points, but I am going to say Matthew Nyes steps in tonight and gets number 30.
And then he beats up Tage Thompson at center ice.
You know what? I watched Tage Thompson. Karen and I were at the game in Buffalo when they played Jersey, and I watched Tage Thompson get knocked out on a hit right at the blue line. And Buffalo had no reaction to it. Tage Thompson is damaged goods. I say go after him and pound him.
Big tree, fall hard.
Go Leafs, go. We'll be back for the playoffs.
See ya.